The Immortal John Hancock, and today I'm doing a ranking video for Sega Genesis. All the Taito games that they published for the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. There's 16, and so I'm going to go through all of them. And so link below if you want to rank this yourself. And so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and just start. Kadash. Kadash is an arcade port like many of the games that I'm mentioning today, and it is kind of flawed. And so the biggest challenge with this port is that they took two of the best characters out. Now, with that being said, it's still a decent game. I enjoyed playing this. I actually rented this back in the day and played with a friend. And so you have the wizard or the warrior as the main characters. So there's only two characters, pretty much, a fighter and a mage. And so in this game, I gotta say, I'm gonna give it a B. It's still fun to play, and it easily would have been one of the better games on the Genesis library if you could choose between the four characters. So I'm gonna give it a B. Next game. Now, Taito, the problem with some of their games is that they were just rough around the edges. Now, some of the games actually are better than others. Some of the graphics in these games is so-so. And this is a good example of this game. Chase HQ2, which isn't an arcade port. It's kind of a derivative of the Chase HQ series, mixes it up with something brand new, and I don't like this game. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's something I play now. And I went back after not playing this for a long time, and it just is not any fun. And so I give this game a D. There's a game that didn't come here, and it's Fire Mustang, and it's a horizontal shooter using several World War II fighter planes. And this is a game that I didn't experience back in the day. You know, found this game through a friend of mine who had a lot of the shooters on the Mega Drive, and I think it's a good game. It's a side scroller. It's got great power-ups. It's got parallax scrolling. I enjoyed playing this game. From what I played, I actually give it a B. All right. This next game is definitely graphically rough around the edges, but I love myself some brawlers, and there's kind of a love and hate relationship with Gurl. And so Gurl is scaled back a bit from the arcade experience, and it doesn't have two-player support. That's my main gripe with this game. With that being said, I still love playing this, and I love it more than most people do. While most people would probably say this is an average game, I give this game a B because I think it has some great gameplay and I still enjoy playing it. There was a lot of like arcade style sports games that came out in the 90s, and Hit the Ice, a game that was ported to the TurboGrafx and Super Nintendo as well. The Genesis port isn't that good, and so it's kind of clunky. Definitely has not the best sound. The sound really kind of grates on my ears in this game, and so it's kind of a arcade style, a stripped down version of hockey. You know, I can think of countless other hockey games that I would rather play than this version. I give this version a C. Another shooter that didn't come here in the States, and that's Master of Weapon. And so a lot of people kind of gripe about this game being average. It's an average port of an average shooter. I actually enjoyed this game a little bit more than some people. I actually enjoyed it. It was fun to play. Some of the bosses are strange, but you know, after playing this and experiencing it, from what I played, I actually thought it was decent and a game I definitely would go back to play. I'll give it a B. Next up is another game that we didn't get here in the States, and that's New Zealand Story. And this is an arcade port and a very cutesy looking game that's really challenging. It's really colorful though. And that's one thing I really always appreciated on the Sega Genesis, is a game that had a lot of color. And you know, it's an awesome arcade conversion. And from what I played, I really liked it. It is very challenging. I'll give it a B. This next one is another game that we didn't get here in the States. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, why didn't we get this game? And so Rainbow Islands is a fantastic game on the Sega Genesis. It's got great graphics. A lot of fun, a lot of color, a lot of hidden secrets, and so it's really cute too. And so if you like cute games, this is up your alley. If you don't like cute games, you're probably going to avoid this. I actually think this is one of the better Taito games, and I give it an A. This next game I have a hate relationship with. And so Razer Saga 2, in my opinion, is actually one of the worst games that Taito did. I didn't like the arcade game. I didn't like the Genesis port. I think it has bad level design. I think it has boring gameplay. It's slow. There's lots that I don't like with this game. And I know that I hate this game more than the average person. And I think it's an unnecessary sequel. I love everything about the original game. And so when this came out, I was disappointed with the direction, the artwork, the style. I give it a D. This next game is a game that I saw a lot in magazines, and that's Saint Sword. And they really talked about, you know, the way where you could change into other forms. It was a side-scrolling action platformer. Essentially, you're finding a key and going and finding the exit per level. Lots of different creatures in this game. I found over time this game hasn't aged well. It's got some clunky gameplay. You do get often hit, and it's rather cheap. There isn't enough diversity within the levels. It's kind of like a rinse and repeat with enemies. I think I give this game a C. Next up is a favorite of mine, and that's Sega. And Sega is Darius II. And so I really like this game. It's one of the better shooters on the Genesis library, and I like it for many reasons. First of all, I think the art design with the mechanical fish or robotic fish and the challenge that comes along with this game is great. This is a game that I revisit often. I think it's one of the better shooters on the Sega Genesis library. I give Sega an A. Next up is a follow-up to Taito's original release, Space Invaders, and that's Space Invaders 91. And this is a good example of a great game to play on the go if you have a Sega Nomad. And I love everything that they did in this game. It's a great kind of revisit to a classic arcade game. They added some things to it. It's a lot of fun to play. If you're an original fan of Space Invaders, you are going to love Space Invaders 91. I think this is one of the better versions of Space Invaders, especially for classic consoles, and I give that an A. Another game that I dislike quite a bit on the Sega Genesis, and that's Thunder Fox. They got a clunky port on the Sega Genesis. It's not fun. The graphics don't do anything for me. The gameplay is kind of so-so. You know, I saw that cover and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great war type game. Nope. Just kind of mediocre at best. And so giving Thunder Fox a D because I just don't go back and revisit and play it. I don't think there's anything there to do so. Next up is another arcade game revisited, and you know, Taito did this with a pair of games, and it was really successful, and that's Ultimate Kicks. Ultimate Kicks is another great game on the Genesis library. I found myself liking this better than the original. They're taking the arcade game and then kind of giving it that 16-bit polish like they did with Space Invaders 91. And so this is a great game. Going around, you're trying to clear the perimeter of each stage and try to fill it up without getting touched by an enemy. And so look no further than Ultimate Kicks. Great game. This next game was actually published in the States by DreamWorks, but it was published by Taito in Japan. And so Mystical Fighter is a great brawler. It's kind of kabuki style, and it's a weird one. I showed this to a friend of mine, and this easily became one of the best games that we like to play together, other than like some of the more mainstream games on the Sega Genesis. And so I really like this game. It is difficult. If you beat it on the standard difficulty, you actually have to go back and play it again. I highly recommend this game if you're looking for a great side-scrolling brawler, a lot of fun. I give it an A. Last and definitely not least, this game's kind of surprised me, and it's an unnecessary platformer. There was too many platformers that came out back in the day, but the Flintstones does a decent job. You know, there's a lot to like here. It's got good graphics, it's got decent gameplay. I like the level design. It's not a platformer anybody asked for, and so there's so many other platformers on the Genesis library, but what I played so far, I like. I give it a B. That is my list and ranking for the Sega Genesis. What did you think? Comment below as I want to hear your thoughts. How would you rank these games? The link is below if you want to do and rank these 16 games yourself. I'd love to hear back from you. I had fun doing my first ranking video. A shout out to John Riggs. Hey, he was an inspiration for this video. Thank you so much for watching. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the Immortal John Hancock. You take care.